Well, first of all, Streamline continues an exploration into ideas which are to do with bringing some aspect of nature or the natural world, or at least the natural world as we see it, into the gallery, into an artificial space. So there's this interest in making something which is partly natural and partly man-made, and having a kind of collision between those two ways of being. Streamline is, or has the same kinds of concerns that Ode d'Artifice had, in that it's about an implied movement across multiple monitors, so that there's a participatory aspect to the construction of meaning in the piece. I like the idea of making a piece of work which exists in a space which is about spatial experience, but that has a narrative dimension to it, but a very small narrative dimension. I think we demand narratives. The human mind demands some kind of narrative, and if it isn't there, it invents one or it superimposes one onto it. So I like the idea of there being just a very slender narrative that you can kind of hang on to. So there's this business of the launching of the boats moving across the space. There's the idea that the boats symbolize something, that they symbolize attempts to communicate, and those attempts to communicate are rather fragile. And I guess the paper boats they're like words or sentences. They flow across. In fact, someone who was a language teacher was talking to me about how you could see each little paper boat as a word and the whole line as a sentence, and that you could actually talk about it in terms of language. You could see it as symbolizing the use of language in some way. And I like that, and it's something that I hadn't thought of when I made the piece. I was thinking much more of the boats as symbols.
What I feel that the Streamline has in particular is this additional personal element, if you like, something that is not very common in men's work. And it's that personal element, that small, that very, very understated, subtle storyline, the toing and froing of messages between the two hands, that makes it possible for us as an audience, for us as individuals, to engage with the humanity of the artist. It engages you at another level, not just in terms of imagination, or yes, the sculptural elements are very pleasing, whatever, but you feel the artist is in there, and in a sense inviting you to communicate with him through his concern.
There is a cyclic element to the whole thing, which is important as well. So it's not like a natural stream which always flows in one direction. It's a stream that flows in both directions continually, forming a kind of loop. There are several things that it might symbolize, or that I'm interested in it being about. One is the stream as a symbol for life itself, the process of life itself, the continuous movement, the continuous change. And the other is the stream as a kind of model or a symbol for consciousness.
Could be seen or could be read as a comment about how our experience of nature is so often mediated through technology anyway. And yet, within the sculptural environment, it was actually able to produce an experience of nature which was very close to the original thing, but again, mediated.
Yes, I'm interested in the idea that there is a connection, and that connections can be made between technology and nature. I don't think they're separate things. I think they're part of a kind of continuum. And I think that we have an artificial division that we've created ourselves between the two. And so I want to make work which draws together an experience of technology and an experience of the natural world. I want those two things to be in some way drawn together to meet somewhere.
Fast japanisch streng und einfach plätschert das künstliche Videobächlein des Engländers Chris Andrews durch den Raum. Der Begriff vom Fluss einer Geschichte wird hier in neuer Gestalt präsentiert. Die Metapher vom Leben, das ein langer, ruhiger Fluss sei, erhält eine Videointerpretation völlig verschieden vom gleichnamigen Kinofilm.
When you watch it, you are aware of the fact that it is made of separate images.
Obwohl jedem klar ist, dass diese Installation aus einzelnen Bildern besteht, wird sie als kontinuierlicher Fluss wahrgenommen. Der Zuschauer ist gefangen von dem künstlichen Raum zwischen den Bildschirmen. Gestern habe ich ein kleines Mädchen beobachtet, das an den Monitor klopfte, um das Schiffchen weiter zu bewegen. Und mit dem Finger verfolgte sie einen Weg durch den Zwischenraum.
She imagined the line. She traced it with her finger across the space between the two sets, and that's important that that experience happens.
Es geht mir darum, solche Erfahrungen hervorzubringen. Interessant ist auch, den Fluss des Satzes zu begreifen, dessen einzelne Worte die Bildschirme sind. Seine Bedeutung kann nur in Beziehung zu jedem einzelnen Wort verstanden werden. Irgendwann könnte dem Betrachter auffallen, dass auf der einen Seite Männerhände, auf der anderen Seite Frauenhände zu sehen sind. Die einen schicken das Schiffchen los, die anderen empfangen es. Es könnte Symbol für eine Botschaft sein, die die andere Seite erreichen kann oder auch nicht, die an einem Hindernis scheitern, untergehen oder selbst wenn sie ankommt, missverstanden werden kann.
I was a photographer and then started using film.
Früher war ich Fotograf. Ich begann dann zu filmen, wünschte mir aber schnellere Ergebnisse. Die Zeit zwischen Aufnahme und entwickeltem Film störte mich, zumal wenn er dann unterbelichtet oder anders war, als ich es mir vorgestellt hatte. Mir gefällt auch die Qualität der Videobilder. Manchen fehlt die Deutlichkeit oder sie mögen die künstlichen Farben nicht. Ich spiele gern mit der Beziehung zwischen künstlichen Bildern und natürlichen Gegenständen.